So I just wanted to compare and contrast, like the Pentagon has more than $1 trillion budget. And I just wanted to look at what does not.
What does not have $1 trillion? All of the things.
All of the things. But, including some minor details like American schools, public schools. So
I thought it was $1 trillion. Is it not $1 trillion?
It's a little less.
A little less? Okay.
So these are K through 12 public schools. The organization, a report card for America's infrastructure. No.
I got it. Just keep talking.
Okay. It's that one.
Fine. You do your thing.
They have given American public schools, K through 12, a D+. Scroll up. A D+.
There's the little D+ over here.
Yeah. There's your grade for, now.
So passing, you're saying?
The best estimates in their overview of this indicate a minimum of a $38 billion annual funding gap for public school facilities across the country. Now, riddle me this, Lee. Is $38 billion more or less than $1 trillion?
Oh, it's been a long time since I was in the old education system, but I did go to public schools in Richmond, Virginia, so I can say with much authority, $38 billion is more than $1 trillion.
Well done, Lee. You are a testament to the public school system
public schools
in this country.
In Richmond, Virginia.
So
wait, did I get that wrong?
So I'm glad you didn't, bet any money on that one, Lee. But $38 billion is the funding gap. The Pentagon, regardless of access to whiteboards or laptops, could literally find that shit in their break rooms.
Right.
That is like such a small percentage. And that would just be to get public schools to a level that is acceptable. In the report, nearly 41%, almost half of all public schools have issues with their HVAC systems. And people might remember that a few years ago, for instance, in Baltimore, they closed the public schools because kids were literally freezing to the level that it was like concerning on a medical level in the public schools because they didn't have fucking heating. There was also a report by ProPublica about Idaho, from this year, which boasts the worst funded schools in the nation, with collapsing roofs, broken toilets, flooded classrooms, mold, because that's really good for developing brains. There are pictures of kids with their full-on like snowsuits on trying to learn. I don't know about you, but I can't fucking learn shit if I'm freezing my ass off. So that's Idaho. That's Baltimore.
I can vouch for the fact it's much harder to learn when your balls are up inside you. Totally true.
I can't relate to that comment, but there was even a GoFundMe that somebody started.
Christ, get heat to our public schools.
I'm not. This is a GoFundMe.
This is so sad.
From a few years ago, called "We Need Heat in Our Public Schools." And it was for Baltimore, and they were asking for $100,000. I believe $100,000 is also less than 1.2 trillion, but I'll have to talk to my maths people about this to ensure that they would get some heating.
Dude, the U.S. society is now I'd say 46% GoFundMe based.
Dude,
it's like use GoFundMe to try and keep this shit show running.
There's another story from Philadelphia where a 1930s era boiler is still used to heat the school.
1930s.
Yeah.
But that's a good boiler that's held on that long. That boiler
they made things better back then.
That boiler's held on for 100 years.
God damn it.
Well done, boiler.
Decaying ceiling tiles, support beams that are cracked in classrooms, and oven-like conditions in warmer months. So yeah, packing kids into ovens in order to learn about the history of our great nation. That's a picture. So,
and I'd like to just throw in here that Yard Rock has never voted to cut schools funding, just cut funding for schools, like never once. Yard Rock 2024 has, it's just always been full support of our education system in this country. And to throw something else in here that's slightly less satirical, this is by design, right? This is not just that our government is like, oh, damn it, you know, you got to make those hard decisions. And one of them we had to make was that we can't afford the HVAC in the schools. No, it's that these people are an elite class. Their children are going to elite schools. They do not give a fuck about public education. And in fact, they want it to dwindle. They want it to dwindle and be harmed on multiple levels. One is that many of them are pushing charter schools. So if they're pushing charter schools, defund public schools start crumbling as you're listing all the things that are happening. And they can then go, public schools suck. We need to have more charter schools where we can actually exploit and profit from schooling, as opposed to public education where we don't make a profit from the kids. So that's a big reason. But another reason is that we have a class structure in this country that is meant to not appear to be a class structure. So you say, anybody can do anything they want. If you want to be rich and successful, so you just got to work hard. But it's not actually like that. And if you are of the lower class, yes, extreme poverty, but also just, you know, even many lower middle and lower class people, you are going to go to these public schools where the upper echelon of our society wants you to not become super smart. You're meant to be one of the cogs of the machine, a worker. You're meant to enjoy or not necessarily enjoy, but think that the best you can do is that job, pulling the used underwear out of the jets of the hot tub at the Holiday Inn. And you are meant to believe that's you're doing the best you can. And so that's how this system, that's part of the way that our class structure cements itself, codifies itself.
Yeah, absolutely. The removal of the rich from any kind of public services. And the other point here is that a lot of these schools, a lot of public schools have temporary buildings. Like the school that I went to had trailers. They were called at my school, this is great, relocatables. Because they don't want to call them trailers, because in North Carolina, you know, trailers, that's something that those people down there at the trailer park do, and that's not what nice people like us do. So we've got relocatables, and we used to call them relos.
Stop.
Relos.
Stop.
And get this, there was a brand new math and science building, but history, social studies, and English and literature were all in the relos.
Well, you know, the other reason is for each of those, they can just, when they decide you're not learning that anymore, they just pull it away. Yeah. They're like, no more history
anymore.
History's done. And you just see the history, man. Just beep, beep, beep. And the kids going, we want to learn the history. Nope, it just left. It left. Literature just left.
Literature just left. And this is not an uncommon practice, apparently. I didn't realize this. But
relocatables, that's such a great euphemism, because it's because it's a positive. It's like, well, you can be anywhere you want. If you want literature in your yard, we could put it there. We could put it.
Yeah, of course you can't call it trailer, because that makes it sound low class and shitty, right? And we're not white trash. So, and of those, you'll be surprised to know
the next tent is tent. It's gonna be a literature tent. And then the cops are going to come by and break it up for anti-camping laws.
That only 6% of the portable buildings that its infrastructure report card saw, only 6% of them were in good condition, which is shocking, I know, because I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a trailer in good condition. But and the other point,
because when you go to buy a trailer, even a new one, you're like, I'm in a bad condition.
Right.
This is me in a rough condition. What's your best rough condition trailer?
And so the other point that they're making here is that these portable buildings are not going to withstand the impending climate chaos. So when there's a lot of wind or when there's a lot of rain,
just blew literature away. Shit, just blew literature down the hill. Fuck.
And all of the little kitties that were in there learning about the, Shakespeare.
The talented and gifted kids all floated down the river in their Relo. Jesus.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to laugh because there's so much to cry about. But this is the state of our schools. Literal trailer parks with no AC and no heating. And meanwhile, the Pentagon is fetching because they don't have enough money. I mean, I couldn't write this shit in a fucking movie.